All right. Here's number 3. All right. So
just put your other statement into like.
Oh no. We just gotta take it. That's the point of the game. I like it. All right, here we go. All right.
Okay, I'm ready.
Number 3. And this one is another one. So in the work we do, you often talk to me about seeing our students. Right?
Yeah.
And so I've been thinking a lot about that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna read the statement. I'm gonna try to read it what my thought was, right? And I'd love to just hear your reaction. In my mind, in order for anyone to feel seen by you, they have to be looking at you when you see them, right? So the question for me then becomes, why are they looking at you? Why are they looking at you?
I'll come back to the original statement.
All right.
Part of me is in agreement, and part of me is like, but there's a way that you can see them and they not be looking at you, right?
All right, tell me about it. Okay.
Because there's multiple ways. I don't have to be talking to you to see you, right?
Okay.
So sometimes I'll see a kiddo having a bad day or something or whatever the case would be. So, and depending on their personalities, you respond to them differently.
Right.
Like all of them are not like, I'm going to come hop over here, hug you, look you dead in the face. It might be a letter. Read this when you get home. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like, hey, read this when you get home and text me. Or it might be a text.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So it's not always like, it's just I know you well enough to know how to respond to you when I see you.
That's
Do
the
you
part,
see what I mean?
Right? But even if so for that kid, for that person, whoever it is, for that person, even to feel seen in that letter, they have to feel like you matter to them, right? They have to be looking at you, right? And so my question or the thought that I always have is, whenever I felt seen personally, right, it's always because whoever was seeing me or whoever I felt seen by, I knew loved me. I knew cared about me, right? So the reason I was looking at them in the first place
is because
they had shown me that they cared for me, right? And so I think about that with the work we do, with wanting to make our students feel seen. For me, the start of that is letting them know I care about you, right? And from that, right, then they begin to say, man, this person cares about me. And then they begin to look back at you, right? What kind of person are you? Oh, Miss Crystal's fun. You know, Dr. West always has a smile. Nate yells at people really loudly. Like whatever it is, right? But they begin to kind of do that, right? And as a result of that, when you are making an effort to see them, right, in order for them to feel seen, they have to have been looking at you already, right? And so that for me is like, oh man, it's such a a unique way to think about being seen, recognizing like, hey, it doesn't matter if you're seeing them if they don't know that you're seeing them, right? And the only reason that they would know you're seeing them is because they're like, you're the person who cares about me, right? So it's this really weird kind of thing as I think about it.
And I like it. You mentioned earlier, like just a second ago, how it's really cool that they're seeing you back. Right? They're seeing you back. Because you want that. You want them to trust you. You want them to like feel comfortable enough, like knowing they're seen by you, whatever the case is. Perfect example, this week alone, 2 of my kids wrote me letters. And I was like, what? And I think they knew that like it was a rougher week. And so they kept saying like, can I see your journal? And I was like, what you want my journal for? And then they just wrote notes in my journal and I forgot about them.
Oh, that's dope.
And then I went later and
you
read
felt
them.
seen.
And I was like, you see me.
That's crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, wow. Like it does feel good.
It does.
To know like, hey, I see you. I'm intentional with you, right? But for you then to turn back and extend that back to me, I was like, oh. That's
the I've talked about this story before, but that's the story of the woman with the issue of blood for me. Yeah. Right? It's this crazy scene that everybody talks about the first part, right? She touches him, then Jesus starts looking around, right? But the part we don't recognize is after that, it literally says, after all had denied. In other words, after she got what she needed from Jesus, she saw Jesus. Yeah. He would not stop looking until he saw her, right? Like that, because he knew there's something that happens when we see each other, right? When we see each other, and then that's where I love this whole scene, because this is how I view it with our students, right? This whole scene, right? Jesus, she touches Jesus, she gets scared now, right? Man, I got something. She doesn't know what to do. Jesus won't stop looking. It says when she recognized she could not hide anymore, now she comes. She's in front of him. She doesn't know what's going to happen. She don't know what he's going to say. Yep. She's standing there, and the very first thing he says is, daughter. It was like the perfect word.
That part.
And I was just like, so when I think about our students, right, and the work we're doing, I'm like, man, I want them to know that we're not going to stop looking.
Right? And that we'll greet them the same way that you just said. So I remember one of our kiddos saying to me, like, I didn't want to meet you because I didn't think you would like me, right? And I was like, I love you. I love you. Like, oh God, why would you think that? Yeah. But in her head, she had sinned so much and was so dirty, she thought that I wouldn't want anything to do with her. And so, kind of like the issue look, right? But yeah, no.
And I think that for me is one of the core issues I'm finding with ministry. I had a conversation with one of the Untangled commenters yesterday. And one of the things that it talked about that I said to him is sometimes I think we are so focused on being right that we're not focused on actually talking to people, right? So in the discussion we were talking about, there was a 15-year-old girl I was talking to, and she told me she felt like she had saw her dead uncle, right? And the person who I was arguing with was like, you should have told her right off that talking to those people are demons. And I was like, whoa.
It's like,
right?
Whoa.
And to be fair, I don't want him to think that that's how he depicted it, right?
Yeah.
But his emphasis was on, and I don't think he's wrong, right? But his emphasis was on, we have to spiritually protect everyone. We have to tell. And I'm like, yes, I agree with that.
Yes.
But in my mind, as long as I see them, show them, or ask them, or do the best I can to get them to follow Jesus, he can take care of the rest of that, right?
That part.
And so I don't have to be right.
Right.
I can be focused on seeing. And I think that's an approach we take at the USC that I think is unique, right? We're not focused on being right.
Because you'll lose them. You're going to lose them trying to be right. If I'm seeing you, I'm not, like, that's the reason I can debate in a healthy place for my kiddos.
Yeah.
Like, that's why we can have hard conversations, is because I'm not over here, like, telling you, you're wrong. I'm like, how has that worked out?
It hasn't, right.
This doesn't work out. Like, this has never worked out.
And the part that I think is crazy is that the culture has changed, and so they all are reacting that way.
Yeah.
But we're still using this same right thing, right? That's what every time I get into a debate on Untangled or at USC, anywhere, right? I always tell people, the Christians who will argue with me, I'll say to them, hey, man, I'm happy you get to exist in a world where you get to do that. But in the world where I minister at, I have to listen first, and I have to have dialogue. I can't just be like, you're wrong, right?
Right.
Because they won't listen to me, right? Yeah. So I have to. I can't do that anymore.
The other reason, sorry, I didn't mean to answer.
No, please.
The other reason you can't go screaming you're wrong to people is because we make the assumption sometimes that people have the knowledge you have.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I had to come from a place where I had to learn a little and then grow some more and then grow some more. Yeah. So if they're at the baby stages or whatever, I'm not going to tell you, like, I'm not just going to be out, like, flat out, you're wrong, right? I'm going to sit with you and show you it. Let's talk about it. Where's your perspective on it? Let me hear you out. Do you know what I mean? Right. Because I got to bring you. If I'm going to bring you with me, I can't be screaming at you.
Right. I can't preach at you.
Because you're not going to come. Like,
right. That's what I was going to say.
I'm not coming with people who are screaming at me.
People instead of to them. And that's insane to me.
I think we need to realize, like, it's really important we walk alongside people.
Yeah.
And we have to work.
Or that a lot of it's not even our job, right?
Yeah.
Like, I tell people, all I care about, I don't care what you're doing, wrong, right, whatever. I don't care about any of that. Right. Can I get you to genuinely follow Jesus? Because if I can do that part, he'll take care of it. Right? Yeah, he'll take care of the rest of that part.
I think we think that, we always trying to do his job.
Yeah.
I don't want his job.
Right, I don't want his job.
Oh,
and that's why for me...
No.
Nate!
Stop it, Nate!
That's perfect. Well, Miss Crystal, thank you.
I made it.
Impromptu. Yeah, you did. She just get down. We was going to do a close or something. She ready. Okay, all right. No.